Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this episode, I'm going to be running all the wiring for the van and doing the spray foam insulation. Right now I'm running the battery cable for the alternator charging for the solar. Made a little cut right here. I have this just pulled back and took the screws out. And I'm just running the wire through here. Let me show you what it looks like up front. So the wire is just coming through here, and I just have it set aside right now. We're not gonna connect this until we get all the batteries and charge controllers and everything set up. But eventually this will connect right here onto that. And we also need to run a negative line to the back as well. But we don't need to connect this yet. Let's put this back on. Before I run this wire through there, I like to put the terminal on first, especially if you're using these hammer type crimpers, because once the wire's in there, it's going to be too difficult to use the hammer and crimp this, so it's best to do this first. So now I have the positive and the negative going through that conduit there, coming through here, and I have some more conduit here where it comes out, and this is where it'll connect to the charge controller and the negative bus bar. Working on running some of the 12-volt wires now. Got everything that's going to come out right over here. This is where all the electronics will be. And for the lights, I'm just making these little loops where each one of the ceiling lights will be, and then later you can just cut these, and that's how you'll connect the lights, and it's all on one big loop basically. There'll be a front 6 lights here, and then 2 lights in the rear on a separate switch, and then an additional light right here, which will be for the shower. And this is the time now when you need to really have your floor plan pretty much finalized, because you need to run all the wires to everything where it's going to be and everything. I've got these little zip tie double-sided tape things here, and these are really great for mounting the wires. You just put a tie through here just like that, and then you can just snip the zip tie off right there. And these really help to hold the wires up, so I'm going to add a bunch of them to keep everything tied up against the wall like that. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on showing all of the wiring, but all of the wiring's done now, so the next step is going to be to tape everything off so I can start the spray foam insulation. So I've got everything all taped off with plastic and everything. I've covered the vents, both front and back, side door and the front cabin's taped off. The only thing I have left to do is just tape the wires here, put some plastic around that. Then tomorrow morning I could start the spray foam. So if you have a Promaster, you probably noticed these little black things here and on the side there too. And these are like pressure release valves, so when you slam the front door closed, a little bit of air can escape here. It makes it a lot easier to close the doors. So you definitely don't want to cover this with spray foam. There's a bunch of different ways you can insulate your van, but my favorite is by far the spray foam insulation. It has a really high R value. It's really good with sound deadening. Once you insulate the van, you can turn music on like really high volume, close the doors, and you can't hear anything outside. And the other reason is it gives a structural rigidity to the van. You can really feel when you're driving. It's a little more prep time with all the plastic and everything, but once you have the prep done, it's 5 minutes to insulate. Another benefit is it creates a natural vapor barrier, so you don't have to add anything like that in addition, because the spray foam, when it cures, creates like a layer of a vapor barrier. The only downside to it is it's very expensive and it can be hard to find online. I'll try to provide a link, but sometimes it's sold out. If I can find a link, I'll provide one. So let me show you what comes in the kit. You have 2 tanks, a hose with a gun connected to it, and then a bunch of different tips. White ones are just a cone spray, and the yellow ones, which is what I mostly use, is a fan spray. Get some gloves, some petroleum jelly, and a wrench to
tighten the 2 hoses on there. Put a little bit of petroleum jelly right here so it doesn't clog up.
I like to leave these in the sun about a half hour, an hour to let them warm up to about 75 degrees or so. That's when they work their best. If it's a cold climate where you are, you can put them into like a hot bathtub for an hour or so. Let them come up to temperature. The thing you have to keep in mind is you have to move really quickly.
If you stop spraying even for about 30 seconds, the tips clog up and you have to change the tips. So luckily they include a few extra ones. Just do all your prep work ahead of time. That way, as soon as you connect it, you can just move fast and spray the whole thing.
So I'm gonna put a little jumpsuit on and some goggles and a mask and some gloves. And then I'll show you what this looks like. Now if you leave the tip on, you should be able to save this. If you take the tip off, it's going to clog up. So if you leave the tip on, you can pop it off later, put a new one on, and then still be able to use this. There should be a little bit left.
Oh, Gary.
What the hell happened? All of a sudden, this car turned into a cannoli.
It's secure phone, and it saved your life. Look at you, you're in shambles.
You can see I was able to knock off most of the high spots with the trowel here. Whatever's left, I'll go back and use belt sander. It's the time to do it while you have all the plastic set up. So I'll just hit those little spots, dropping down with the belt sander, and then I can remove all the plastic and it should be nice and clean and ready to go for the walls. Okay, so this is the finished product, all cleaned up. I've already driven around a bit and it's a huge difference driving. Way quieter. And it's actually staying cooler in here already. If there's any low spots that I missed, I can add some traditional insulation later when I'm doing the paneling. Alright guys, thanks for watching. And that's going to do it for today. And I think next episode I'm going to be putting in a sliding door window right there. So if you haven't subscribed already, please do that so you don't miss out. And I'll catch you guys next time.